Respect is not given, it is earned. And most people lose it not because they are weak, but because they try too hard to be liked. They apologize too much. They explain themselves too often. They bend when they should stand, and slowly, without realizing it, they teach the world how to treat them. Being nice may keep the peace, but it rarely builds respect. Real respect comes from self-control, boundaries, and the courage to say no when no is needed. It comes from knowing your worth and refusing to shrink it for anyone's comfort. This audiobook is about reclaiming that power, learning how to speak with authority, move with confidence, and carry yourself in a way that commands attention without asking for it, not through aggression, not through arrogance, but through strength, clarity, and self-respect. Because the moment you stop chasing approval, the world starts paying attention. Chapter 1. Why People Stop Respecting You. People do not wake up one morning and decide to stop respecting you. Respect erodes slowly through patterns of behavior that communicate how you see yourself. Every time you tolerate something that goes against your values, you are teaching others how to treat you. Every time you stay silent when you should speak, you quietly surrender a piece of your authority. Over time, this creates an image of someone who can be overlooked, dismissed, or taken for granted. The world responds not to your intentions, but to the standards you demonstrate through your actions. One of the main reasons people lose respect is the constant need for approval. When you try too hard to be liked, you begin to compromise your boundaries. You soften your opinions. You apologize for things that require no apology. You avoid conflict at the cost of your self-respect. This behavior sends a message that your comfort is less important than other people's acceptance. The moment you communicate that, others begin to treat you as optional instead of valuable. Another reason respect disappears is inconsistency. When your words do not match your actions, your credibility weakens. People stop taking you seriously because they cannot rely on you. They hear your promises but never see the follow-through. Over time, your presence loses weight. Respect is built on reliability. Without it, your influence collapses. People also lose respect for those who tolerate disrespect. If you allow someone to cross your boundaries without consequence, you are telling them the behavior is acceptable. What you permit becomes the new standard. The longer this continues, the harder it becomes to reverse. Respect requires clear lines. Without them, people step wherever they choose. Another powerful cause of lost respect is emotional overexposure. When you explain yourself too much, complain constantly, or reveal every insecurity, you weaken the sense of strength people feel around you. This does not mean becoming cold or distant. It means choosing what to reveal and when. Mystery preserves authority. Oversharing dissolves it. People also stop respecting those who seek validation instead of standing on conviction. When your beliefs change depending on who you are around, people sense the lack of inner foundation. They do not trust your direction because you do not appear to trust it yourself. Respect follows those who know who they are, even when the room disagrees. Another silent respect killer is tolerating low standards in your own life. When you neglect your responsibilities, your health, your growth, or your discipline, people notice. Even if they never say anything, the image forms. Self-respect is always visible, and without it, external respect rarely survives. People lose respect when they see someone avoid difficult conversations. Strength is shown not through aggression, but through the willingness to address problems calmly and directly. When you stay silent out of fear, you teach others that your voice does not carry weight. Eventually, they stop listening even when you do speak. The inability to say no is another major reason respect fades. When you agree to everything, you appear directionless. You appear desperate for acceptance. People do not respect what is always available. They respect what has standards. Saying no is not rejection, it is self-definition. People stop respecting you when you make yourself too accessible without value. Constant availability without boundaries creates familiarity, and familiarity without leadership creates disregard. You must protect your time, your energy, and your attention. These are your most valuable currencies. Another factor is how you handle pressure. When life becomes difficult, do you panic, complain, collapse, or remain steady? People watch how you respond to adversity. Stability under stress is one of the strongest respect builders in any human interaction. Respect also disappears when you tolerate being the joke, the target, or the emotional dumping ground. Humor at your expense, emotional labor without appreciation, constant accommodation, these quietly position you as lesser in the social hierarchy. You may not feel it immediately, but the shift is happening. Many people lose respect because they do not respect their own future. They settle for small goals, short comfort, and easy distractions. Ambition, direction, and discipline naturally command respect. When your life has no visible purpose, your presence loses gravity. Another cause is indecision. When you cannot commit, cannot choose, cannot move forward, others begin to doubt your leadership in your own life. Confidence grows when you take responsibility for your direction, even if you make mistakes. People also stop respecting those who constantly play the victim. Responsibility builds respect. Excuses destroy it. When you blame everything on circumstances, people see someone who is powerless. Powerlessness never commands respect. One of the deepest reasons respect disappears is when you betray your own values. Every time you act against what you believe is right, you weaken your internal foundation. The outer world senses this fracture, even if it cannot name it. Respect is also affected by how you treat yourself in private. Your habits, your discipline, your self-care, your standards, all of these shape the energy you bring into the world. You cannot fake this. It is felt. People stop respecting you when you become predictable in weakness, when you always fold under pressure, when you always give in, when you always seek comfort over growth. Respect grows around those who endure. Another subtle factor is how you speak about yourself. Self-degrading humor, constant self-criticism, or belittling your own efforts may seem harmless, but it shapes perception. Others begin to treat you the way you describe yourself. Finally, people stop respecting you when you stop respecting your own time. Chronic lateness, poor preparation, careless commitments, all of these communicate a lack of seriousness. Respect is built on the small behaviors repeated daily. Another powerful reason people stop respecting you is when you constantly seek reassurance. When every decision needs approval, every move needs validation, and every thought needs confirmation, you signal uncertainty about your own judgment. Over time, others begin to question your competence as well. Respect naturally flows toward those who trust themselves enough to decide and then stand behind their decisions, even when they are uncomfortable or unpopular. People also lose respect when you avoid responsibility for your mistakes. Deflecting blame, making excuses, or minimizing your role in a failure may protect your ego in the moment, but it weakens your reputation in the long run. Accountability builds credibility. When you own your errors and correct them, people see maturity and strength. When you avoid responsibility, they see instability and insecurity. Another reason respect fades is when your emotional reactions are uncontrolled. Explosive anger, excessive sensitivity, or constant mood swings make others feel unsafe around you. Emotional regulation is one of the most powerful signals of inner strength. When you remain calm under pressure, your presence carries authority. When your emotions control your behavior, your influence weakens. People stop respecting you when your life lacks structure. Chaos in your schedule, disorganization in your work, and inconsistency in your habits reflect an absence of self-leadership. Respect grows around individuals who manage themselves well. Order in your personal life creates order in how others perceive you. Respect also diminishes when you tolerate being over-familiar with everyone. When there is no sense of personal space, no privacy, no distinction between casual and meaningful interactions, your presence loses depth. Boundaries preserve value. Mystery maintains authority. Another common reason respect disappears is when you speak too much and listen too little. Those who constantly talk without reflection appear needy for attention. Those who choose their words carefully and listen deeply project wisdom. Silence, when used correctly, carries power. People lose respect when you constantly compare yourself to others. Envy, jealousy, and insecurity distort your behavior. Instead of building your own path, you begin reacting to everyone else's. This reactive energy makes you seem unstable. Respect grows around those who are focused on their own mission. When you chase status instead of substance, people notice. Flash without foundation creates empty admiration, not genuine respect. Respect is built on character, consistency, and competence, not on appearances. Another reason respect fades is when you do not protect your reputation. Associating with negativity, drama, or dishonesty slowly stains your image. Your environment reflects your standards, and your standards reflect your self-respect. People stop respecting you when your word loses meaning. Promises made casually and broken repeatedly create doubt. Over time, even your sincere commitments are no longer believed. Trust collapses, and respect follows. When you are constantly available, constantly responding, constantly accommodating, you remove all sense of value from your time. Scarcity increases worth. Boundaries create demand. Respect also weakens when you tolerate mediocrity in your performance. Doing the minimum, cutting corners, avoiding excellence, these behaviors slowly erode how others view your ability and potential. Another silent destroyer of respect is fear of confrontation. When you avoid addressing problems, resentment grows. Problems multiply. Your authority fades. Strength requires directness. People lose respect when they sense that you fear losing them. Neediness poisons respect. Confidence attracts it. When you abandon your goals at the first sign of difficulty, people see inconsistency in your character. Consistency builds respect more than talent ever could. Respect is also shaped by how you handle success. Arrogance, entitlement, and superiority quickly destroy what humility and gratitude built. People stop respecting you when your life lacks direction. Aimlessness creates uncertainty. Purpose creates gravity. Another factor is how you handle criticism. Defensiveness weakens your image. Openness to growth strengthens it. Respect also fades when you refuse to evolve. Stagnation repels respect. Growth attracts it. When you respect yourself, protect your standards, and live with intention, the world has no choice but to respond accordingly. Chapter 2. The Hidden Cost of Being Too Nice. Being too nice is often praised as kindness, but in reality it is frequently fear wearing a gentle mask. It is the fear of conflict, the fear of being disliked, the fear of standing alone. When you choose comfort over honesty, you slowly trade your self-respect for temporary peace. The world responds to that trade. People sense when you are avoiding your own truth, and their respect for you quietly begins to fade. What feels like kindness to you becomes weakness in the eyes of those around you. The cost of being too nice is paid first inside your own mind. You begin silencing your real opinions. You hold back your boundaries. You smile through situations that leave you bitter and exhausted. Over time, this creates internal tension that has nowhere to go. That tension becomes frustration, anxiety, and resentment. You start to feel invisible in your own life, watching yourself become smaller for the comfort of others. When you are too nice, you train people to take more than they give. They grow comfortable leaning on you, using your time, your energy, your emotional support, without ever asking what it costs you. You become reliable but replaceable, helpful but forgettable. This imbalance poisons relationships because it teaches others that your needs do not matter as much as theirs. Another hidden cost is the loss of your authentic voice. You begin editing yourself constantly. You think before you speak not about what is true, but about what will be accepted. Over time, you forget the sound of your own honesty. You become fluent in agreement and silent in self-respect. This is how identity erosion begins. Being too nice also attracts the wrong people. Those who lack boundaries gravitate toward those who do not enforce them. Manipulators, takers, and users can sense when someone will not say no. They move closer, they push limits, and each time you allow it, your position weakens further. The emotional exhaustion of being too nice is enormous. You carry the weight of everyone's comfort while neglecting your own. You become the listener, the fixer, the one who absorbs stress for the group. Eventually, you break down in private while appearing calm in public. This silent suffering is the price of abandoning yourself. Another cost is lost opportunity. When you are too nice, you hesitate to speak up, ask for more, or claim what you deserve. You let chances pass because you do not want to seem demanding or difficult. Meanwhile, those who are willing to assert themselves move forward. Being too nice slowly kills ambition. You stop aiming high because you do not want to upset anyone. You stop pushing for growth because you do not want to stand out. Your dreams shrink until they fit comfortably inside other people's expectations. Your self-image also suffers. Each time you betray your own needs for the sake of being liked, your confidence weakens. You begin doubting your value. You begin questioning your worth. The world mirrors that doubt. People do not respect the person who never says no. They may appreciate the convenience, but they do not admire the sacrifice. Respect grows around those who protect their boundaries and stand on their principles. Being too nice does not create harmony. It creates hidden tension. Problems remain unspoken. Resentment accumulates. Relationships rot from the inside. You do not become strong by pleasing everyone. You become strong by honoring yourself even when it makes others uncomfortable. When you remain trapped in the habit of being too nice, you eventually lose your sense of self. You become the version of you that others expect, instead of the version you are meant to be. Over time, this creates a deep feeling of emptiness because you are living a life that does not truly belong to you. You begin to feel disconnected from your own desires, your own goals, and your own direction. Being too nice also destroys your ability to command respect in professional environments. Colleagues will step over you. Managers will overlook you. Your work may be appreciated, but your authority will not be recognized. When you never assert your contributions, your value remains invisible. Another hidden cost is that you teach people how to ignore your boundaries. Every time you allow someone to cross a line without consequence, you strengthen their belief that your limits are flexible. Eventually, they stop asking and start assuming. This creates resentment inside you and entitlement inside them. When you are too nice, you carry emotional debts that never get repaid. You give, listen, support, and sacrifice without keeping balance. This imbalance slowly drains your spirit. You start feeling used, even if no one intends harm. The problem is not them. It is the pattern you have accepted. Being too nice weakens your presence. You become hesitant in your movements, uncertain in your words, and cautious in your decisions. People sense that hesitation and unconsciously treat you as secondary. Another painful cost is that you lose respect for yourself. When you constantly betray your own needs, your mind stops trusting you. You begin to feel ashamed of your own weakness. That shame becomes self-doubt. Being too nice invites emotional manipulation. Those who thrive on control recognize your softness and exploit it. They guilt you, pressure you, and condition you to believe that your worth depends on your obedience. You cannot build a strong life on excessive politeness. Strength requires truth. Growth requires conflict. Respect requires boundaries. When you finally stop being too nice, many people will resist the change. That resistance is proof of how much your old behavior benefited them. The moment you choose self-respect over approval, your life begins to stabilize. You stop leaking energy. You start building power. Being kind is not weakness, but being afraid to disappoint is. You are not here to be liked by everyone. You are here to live honestly. When you release the habit of being too nice, you reclaim your voice, your confidence, and your future. That is the hidden cost and the hidden reward. Chapter 3. Build boundaries without guilt. Building boundaries is not about becoming cold or distant. It is about becoming clear and self-respecting. When you establish boundaries, you are teaching people how to engage with you in healthy and productive ways. Without boundaries, relationships become chaotic, exhausting, and emotionally draining. You end up carrying responsibilities that were never yours to carry. Guilt often appears when you begin setting limits, but that guilt is simply the echo of old habits dying. Growth always feels uncomfortable before it feels empowering. One of the main reasons people struggle with boundaries is the fear of disappointing others. They believe that saying no makes them selfish, unkind, or difficult. In reality, refusing what harms you is one of the most honest forms of self-respect. When you protect your time, your energy, and your emotional space, you preserve your ability to show up fully for the things that truly matter. Boundaries do not push people away. They filter who deserves access to your life. Guilt is not a signal that you are doing something wrong. It is a signal that you are doing something new. When you change your patterns, your nervous system reacts because it is unfamiliar territory. But familiarity is not the same as health. Many people remain trapped in unhealthy dynamics simply because they feel normal. Boundaries break that cycle and replace survival with stability. Clear boundaries reduce resentment. When you stop overgiving, over-explaining, and over-committing, you stop feeling taken advantage of. You begin interacting from choice instead of obligation. This shift changes the quality of every relationship in your life. You become calmer, more grounded, and more confident. When you build boundaries, some people will resist. Not because your boundaries are wrong, but because your boundaries remove their convenience. That resistance is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to your well-being, your growth, and your peace of mind. The people who respect you will adjust. The people who benefit from your lack of boundaries will complain. Learning to say no without apology is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. You do not owe long explanations for protecting your time. You do not need permission to choose yourself. A simple, calm no is enough. The more you practice it, the stronger your self-respect becomes. Boundaries also create emotional safety. When you know what you will and will not tolerate, you stop living in constant tension. You stop bracing for disappointment. You stop hoping people will change. Instead, you choose environments and relationships that align with your standards. Over time, boundaries reshape your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who must earn love through sacrifice. You begin seeing yourself as someone worthy of respect simply by existing. This internal shift transforms how the world responds to you. Building boundaries without guilt is not about hardening your heart. It is about protecting it. When you respect your own limits, your life becomes calmer, clearer, and more focused. You stop pouring energy into situations that drain you and start investing in the life you are meant to build. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors with locks, and you decide who gets the key. Building boundaries teaches you emotional discipline. You stop reacting to every demand, every request, every expectation placed upon you. Instead, you pause, assess, and choose intentionally. This emotional control becomes one of your greatest strengths. It allows you to move through life with clarity instead of confusion, purpose instead of pressure, and peace instead of constant tension. When you stop explaining yourself excessively, your words gain weight. Over-explaining often comes from insecurity and fear of rejection. Boundaries replace that fear with calm confidence. You begin trusting your decisions without needing approval. That trust becomes visible in your posture, your tone, and your presence. People respond differently when they sense certainty. Strong boundaries create space for personal growth. When you are no longer overwhelmed by other people's problems, opinions, and emotions, you finally have energy to focus on your own development. Your goals become clearer, your habits improve, your life begins to stabilize. Boundaries do not restrict you, they free you. Setting limits also improves communication. You stop sending mixed signals. You stop hoping people will read your mind. You speak directly and respectfully. This clarity reduces conflict and increases mutual understanding. When guilt appears after setting a boundary, treat it as a signal of progress. It means you are leaving behind an old identity that survived by pleasing others. You are becoming someone who lives with intention. Growth always feels uncomfortable at first. That discomfort is the price of transformation. Boundaries protect your future. They prevent burnout. They prevent resentment. They prevent you from abandoning your dreams to manage other people's expectations. When you respect your own limits, you begin building a life that actually belongs to you. Some relationships will fade when you raise your standards. This is not loss, it is alignment. You make room for people who meet you with respect, honesty, and emotional maturity. As you strengthen your boundaries, your confidence deepens. You no longer fear conflict. You no longer fear being misunderstood. You understand that protecting your peace is more important than protecting your image. Boundaries teach others how to love you properly. They show what you value, what you tolerate, and what you require. This clarity invites healthier connections into your life. When you finally live with strong boundaries and no guilt, your life becomes quieter, stronger, and more stable. You stop surviving and start leading your own life. Chapter 8. Speak less, mean more. Speaking less is not about becoming silent or withdrawn. It is about becoming intentional. Most people speak far more than they need to because they are uncomfortable with silence. They fill space with unnecessary words, explanations, and justifications, hoping to be understood or accepted. But power does not come from how much you say. It comes from the weight of what you say. When your words are rare and deliberate, they carry influence. When you speak less, people listen more. They begin paying attention because they cannot predict when you will speak or what you will say. This creates presence. Presence is the invisible authority you feel when someone enters a room and the energy shifts without a word being spoken. That authority is built through restraint, not noise. Many people talk themselves into weakness. They explain their plans before they act. They reveal their fears before they face them. They justify their boundaries before they enforce them. Each unnecessary word chips away at their authority. Speaking less preserves your strength. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is structure. It gives your mind time to observe, evaluate, and choose wisely. When you stop reacting verbally to everything, you gain control over situations that once controlled you. You begin responding instead of reacting. That shift changes your entire life. People often mistake being loud for being confident. True confidence is quiet. It does not need to announce itself. It moves steadily, makes decisions calmly, and lets results speak. When you embody this quiet confidence, people feel it before they understand it. When you reduce your words, you reduce conflict. Most arguments begin with unnecessary speech. When you choose your words carefully, problems shrink instead of expanding. You conserve your emotional energy and protect your peace. Speaking less also protects your privacy. Not everyone needs access to your plans, your emotions, or your struggles. Some things grow better in silence. When you guard your inner world, you protect your progress. People who speak less often see more. They observe behavior instead of trusting promises. They notice patterns instead of believing excuses. This awareness gives them an advantage in every interaction. As you master silence, your self-control strengthens. You stop blurting out frustration. You stop oversharing insecurity. You stop defending yourself unnecessarily. This emotional discipline becomes one of your greatest assets. The moment you speak less, your life becomes calmer. Your mind becomes clearer. Your presence becomes stronger. This is how real authority is built. When you begin practicing silence, you start to hear what truly matters. You notice the tone behind words, the meaning behind actions, and the intentions that people rarely admit. This awareness sharpens your judgment. You stop being misled by noise and start making decisions based on truth. That clarity alone separates leaders from followers. Speaking less also teaches you patience. Instead of rushing to express every thought, you allow situations to unfold. You gather information before committing. You become strategic instead of impulsive. Over time, this patience gives you remarkable emotional stability. The more selective you are with your words, the more powerful your communication becomes. Each sentence carries intention. Each phrase has purpose. People begin valuing your input because you do not waste their attention. Respect grows naturally around this discipline. When you stop explaining yourself excessively, your confidence becomes visible. You trust your choices without seeking validation. Others feel that certainty. They respond with trust and cooperation instead of doubt. Speaking less removes the need to prove yourself. You let your work, your behavior, and your results speak. This creates a quiet authority that no argument can challenge. As your communication becomes refined, your relationships improve. Conversations become meaningful. Misunderstandings decrease. You listen more deeply and connect more honestly. Silence gives you control over your emotions. You stop reacting to provocation. You stop feeding negativity. You remain calm when others lose control. This composure becomes your advantage. When you master your words, you master your image. You stop revealing weaknesses that others may exploit. You stop advertising your doubts. You protect your inner strength. Over time, people begin to seek your presence. They feel grounded around you. They sense your stability. This presence becomes magnetic. Speaking less transforms your life. Your mind becomes focused. Your energy becomes protected. Your path becomes clear. When your words are controlled, your life becomes controlled. You stop creating problems through careless speech. You stop fueling drama. You stop inviting unnecessary conflict. Your environment becomes calmer because your inner world has become calmer. This is not silence for the sake of silence. This is silence with intention. Speaking less allows your confidence to grow without effort. You are no longer seeking approval through conversation. You are no longer filling space with explanations. You become comfortable with who you are. That comfort becomes visible. Others sense it immediately. As you practice restraint, your discipline strengthens in other areas of your life. You become more patient. You become more focused. You become more selective with your time, your energy, and your commitments. Your entire lifestyle becomes intentional. When you stop speaking impulsively, you stop creating regret. You avoid unnecessary apologies. You avoid misunderstandings. You avoid words you cannot take back. This emotional maturity builds powerful self-respect. Speaking less also allows you to move strategically. You do not reveal plans prematurely. You do not announce progress before results exist. You work quietly and let success speak when the time is right. Your presence begins to command respect without effort. You do not demand attention. You attract it. You do not seek validation. You embody it. Over time, silence becomes your strength. Not because you are quiet, but because you are grounded. You no longer need to impress. You no longer need to convince. You simply exist with certainty. The less you speak, the more your actions are noticed. The more your actions are noticed, the more your influence grows. This is how true authority is formed. When you master your speech, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, the world responds accordingly. Speak less, mean more, and watch your life transform. Chapter 5. Master your body language. Your body speaks long before your mouth ever opens. People decide how they will treat you based on your posture, your movement, your eye contact, and the way you occupy space. If your body language is weak, your words lose power no matter how confident they sound. When you learn to control your physical presence, you gain influence without saying a single sentence. This is not performance, it is alignment between your inner strength and outer expression. Most people never realize how much they shrink themselves physically. They round their shoulders, avoid eye contact, fidget constantly, and minimize their presence. These habits send a silent message of uncertainty and submission. The world reads that message instantly. When you correct your posture, slow your movements, and hold steady eye contact, the entire way people respond to you begins to change. Strong body language begins with posture. Standing tall with relaxed shoulders and a lifted chest is not arrogance, it is self-respect. Your spine becomes the foundation of your confidence. When your body is aligned, your mind follows. You think more clearly. You breathe more deeply. You move with purpose instead of hesitation. Your walk communicates your mindset. Rushed steps signal anxiety. Shallow steps signal insecurity. A controlled, grounded walk signals confidence and stability. When you slow your movement slightly and walk with intention, your presence becomes heavier in the room. People feel it, even if they cannot explain why. Eye contact is another powerful signal of authority. Avoiding it suggests fear or uncertainty. Excessive staring suggests aggression. Balanced, calm eye contact creates trust and control at the same time. It shows that you are present, attentive, and unafraid. Your hands reveal your emotional state. Nervous fidgeting, clenched fists, or restless movements weaken your image. Calm, open, controlled hand movements strengthen it. Stillness itself becomes a form of confidence. Your facial expression shapes the emotional atmosphere around you. When your face is tense or reactive, people feel it. When your expression is calm and composed, the environment settles. You become an anchor in any situation. Mastering body language is mastering energy. You stop leaking nervousness, doubt, and tension. You project steadiness, focus, and self-belief. Over time, this becomes natural. You no longer perform confidence, you embody it. When your body aligns with your intention, your presence commands respect without effort. You do not need to explain yourself. You do not need to assert dominance. Your posture does the talking. The way you sit, stand, and move teaches people how to treat you. When you occupy space comfortably, others respect your space instinctively. When you shrink, the world shrinks you further. This is the foundation of commanding presence. Control your body, and you control the room. When you become aware of your physical presence, you begin shaping your identity at a deeper level. Your body becomes the instrument through which your inner strength is expressed. Each adjustment in posture, movement, and stillness reinforces your sense of control. Over time, these small physical changes transform the way you see yourself and how the world responds to you. Strong body language creates psychological safety for others. When you remain calm, grounded, and steady, people instinctively trust you. They feel your stability. They sense your certainty. This trust becomes the foundation of respect and influence in every interaction. Your breathing also affects your presence. Shallow breathing signals anxiety and stress. Deep, controlled breathing signals calm and control. When you regulate your breath, you regulate your nervous system. This internal calm radiates outward. When you enter any room, enter with intention. Do not rush. Do not hesitate. Move as if you belong. Your body will teach your mind that you are exactly where you should be. Stillness is one of the most powerful forms of body language. The ability to remain physically calm under pressure demonstrates emotional mastery. Others may become restless, reactive, or loud. Your stillness becomes your advantage. Mastering your body language also strengthens your self-respect. You stop carrying yourself like someone who needs permission. You begin moving as someone who knows their worth. Over time, your body becomes an extension of your mindset. You do not need to think about confidence anymore. You live it. The more you practice these habits, the more natural they become. Eventually, your presence speaks louder than any words ever could. This is how you command respect without force. This is how you influence without argument. This is how you master your body language. Chapter 6. Stop explaining yourself. Most people explain themselves too much because they are afraid of being misunderstood, rejected, or judged. They believe that if they just provide enough details, enough reasons, and enough justifications, others will accept their choices. In reality, over-explaining does the opposite. It weakens your position. It signals uncertainty. It invites debate where none is needed. When you learn to speak your decision calmly and then stop, your authority increases immediately. The habit of over-explaining usually comes from insecurity. It is the fear that your decision is not good enough on its own. But strong people do not defend their boundaries with endless words. They state their position with clarity and allow others to adjust. This creates a powerful shift in how you are perceived. Your presence becomes firm, steady, and self-assured. Over-explaining also creates emotional exhaustion. You spend energy convincing others instead of directing your life. You carry conversations longer than necessary. You absorb resistance that never belonged to you. When you stop explaining, you reclaim that energy and redirect it toward your goals and growth. Clear communication does not require justification. When you make a decision that aligns with your values, that decision stands on its own. The more you trust your own judgment, the less you feel the need to defend it. This inner trust becomes visible in your voice, posture, and tone. When you stop explaining yourself, you also stop negotiating your self-worth. You are no longer asking for permission to exist, choose, or act. You become grounded in your identity. That groundedness commands respect in every interaction. People often explain themselves because they fear conflict. But avoiding conflict at the cost of self-respect always leads to resentment. When you choose clarity over comfort, you prevent long-term emotional damage. Over-explaining gives others control over your emotional state. You react to their opinions. You adjust your decisions to please them. When you stop explaining, you take that control back. Learning to speak less and mean more strengthens your confidence. You stop filling space with nervous words. You become comfortable with silence. That silence communicates strength more powerfully than any explanation ever could. The moment you stop explaining, your life becomes simpler. Conversations become shorter. Decisions become cleaner. Relationships become more honest. This is how you begin building quiet authority. When you stop explaining yourself, you begin to experience a new kind of freedom. You are no longer carrying the burden of other people's expectations on your shoulders. You are no longer responsible for convincing anyone that your choices are valid. That freedom is powerful. It allows you to move through life with clarity instead of hesitation, purpose instead of pressure, and confidence instead of doubt. Over time, you will notice how differently people respond to you. They stop challenging every decision. They stop questioning your boundaries. They start accepting your words at face value. This is not because they suddenly changed, but because your energy changed. Your communication became grounded and self-directed. When you remove explanations, you also remove emotional vulnerability in conversations that do not deserve it. Not everyone needs access to your reasoning, your feelings, or your internal struggles. Privacy protects your power. Discretion preserves your focus. Stopping the habit of explaining strengthens your self-trust. Each time you state your decision and stand by it, your confidence grows. You begin believing in your ability to navigate life without external validation. That belief becomes your foundation. This practice also sharpens your emotional discipline. You stop reacting defensively. You stop engaging in unnecessary arguments. You conserve your energy. That conservation allows you to invest more deeply in your growth and goals. As you stop explaining, your boundaries become clearer. People learn where you stand. They adjust their behavior. Some relationships improve, others fade. This is not loss. This is alignment. You begin living with greater intention. Your choices become deliberate. Your actions become consistent. Your identity becomes stronger. Over time, you develop quiet authority. You no longer need to dominate conversations or justify your existence. You simply move forward with certainty. This is the power of self-respect in action. This is how you reclaim your voice. This is how you stop explaining yourself. Chapter 7. How to say no without fear. Learning to say no without fear is one of the most powerful skills you can develop in your life. Many people say yes out of habit, out of pressure, or out of the need to be liked. Over time, this weakens their sense of self. They begin to live according to other people's demands instead of their own values. When you learn to say no calmly and confidently, you take back control of your time, your energy, and your future. Fear often appears when you think saying no will cause conflict, rejection, or disappointment. But the truth is that every yes carries a cost. When you say yes to something that goes against your priorities, you are saying no to yourself. This trade slowly erodes your confidence and self-respect. Saying no, on the other hand, protects your integrity and strengthens your identity. Saying no is not selfish, it is self-directed. It allows you to focus on what truly matters. When you are clear about your boundaries, people learn how to treat you. They begin to respect your time because you respect it first. Boundaries do not isolate you, they stabilize you. The more you practice saying no, the more natural it becomes. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Your mind may create guilt. Your body may feel tense. But discomfort is simply the sign of growth. Every time you choose honesty over approval, your confidence increases. When you stop over-explaining your no, your words gain power. A simple, calm refusal communicates self-respect. You do not need long justifications. You do not need permission. Your decision is enough. Saying no without fear also strengthens your relationships. It removes resentment. It replaces silent frustration with clarity. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, not silent sacrifice. As you develop this skill, your life becomes more focused. You stop wasting energy on commitments that do not serve your goals. You begin investing fully in the path you have chosen. This is how real independence is formed, not by pushing others away, but by standing firmly in your own values. When you begin saying no with confidence, you will notice a shift inside yourself. Your mind becomes calmer because you are no longer overcommitting. Your body feels lighter because you are not carrying responsibilities that were never yours to hold. This inner peace becomes your new standard. You stop living in survival mode and start living with intention. Saying no teaches you emotional discipline. You learn to tolerate discomfort without escaping into people-pleasing. You stop chasing approval and start protecting your self-respect. This discipline becomes the foundation of your confidence. As your boundaries strengthen, your relationships become healthier. The people who respect you will adapt. The people who relied on your weakness will resist. That resistance is not your responsibility. It is simply the natural response to your growth. You also develop courage. Each time you say no, you reinforce your ability to protect your future. This courage extends into every area of your life. You become decisive. You become focused. You become strong. Over time, fear loses its grip. You realize that most of what you feared never truly happens. People adjust. Life continues, and you stand taller. The person who masters the word no becomes unbreakable. They do not bend under pressure. They do not collapse under guilt. They move forward with clarity and purpose. This is how you stop living for everyone else. This is how you begin living for yourself. This is how you say no without fear. Chapter 8. Confidence is quiet, not loud. True confidence does not need to announce itself. It does not enter the room demanding attention or proving anything to anyone. It moves with calm certainty, grounded in self-trust and inner stability. Loud behavior often hides insecurity, while quiet presence reflects strength. When you stop trying to impress and start trusting yourself, your confidence becomes unshakable. Many people confuse confidence with dominance. They believe that being the loudest voice, the most assertive presence, or the most aggressive personality is the sign of strength. In reality, the strongest people are usually the most composed. They do not rush to speak. They do not overreact. They do not compete for validation. Their calm becomes their authority. Quiet confidence comes from knowing who you are. It is built through discipline, self-respect, and consistent action. Each time you keep your word to yourself, your inner trust grows. That trust becomes the foundation of your confidence. You no longer seek approval because you already believe in your own direction. When your confidence is quiet, your energy changes. You stop reacting emotionally to every situation. You become patient under pressure. You remain grounded when things go wrong. People begin to feel safe and stable around you. That emotional steadiness commands respect without effort. Loud behavior is often fueled by fear. The need to be seen, heard, and acknowledged creates constant tension. Quiet confidence removes that tension. You no longer need to prove your worth. You live it. As your confidence deepens, your communication becomes simpler. You stop over-explaining. You stop justifying your choices. You speak with clarity and allow your actions to confirm your words. This alignment strengthens your presence. Quiet confidence also protects your peace. You stop engaging in unnecessary conflict. You stop feeding negativity. You choose your battles carefully. This emotional discipline preserves your energy and focus. The person with quiet confidence does not seek attention. Attention finds them. Their presence is felt before they speak. Their influence grows without effort. This is the kind of confidence that transforms your life from the inside out. As you cultivate quiet confidence, you stop measuring yourself against others. Comparison fades because your focus is internal, not external. You move according to your own values instead of reacting to the world around you. This independence becomes your greatest strength. It allows you to grow steadily without distraction. Quiet confidence allows you to remain composed in moments of challenge. When others panic, complain, or collapse, you stay centered. You do not rush into decisions. You do not seek validation. You trust your process. This calm response under pressure builds deep respect. The more grounded you become, the less you feel the need to control others. You allow people to be who they are without resistance. You focus on what you can control, your actions, your mindset, your growth. This self-mastery makes you powerful. Your relationships improve as your confidence stabilizes. You stop needing constant reassurance. You stop clinging to approval. You engage with people from wholeness instead of insecurity. This creates healthier connections. Quiet confidence also changes your posture, your movement, and your energy. You begin carrying yourself with ease. You do not rush. You do not fidget. You become comfortable in your own presence. This physical calm reinforces your mental calm. As your confidence grows, your goals become clearer. You stop chasing what looks impressive and start building what feels meaningful. Your life aligns with your values. The strongest people in the room are often the quietest. They listen, they observe, they act with intention. Their influence is undeniable. When your confidence is quiet, your life becomes peaceful. You stop fighting for validation. You start building your future. This is the power of inner strength. This is the beauty of quiet confidence. Chapter 9. Handle disrespect without losing control. Disrespect will appear in your life, no matter how strong, kind, or disciplined you become. What defines your character is not whether it appears, but how you respond when it does. Most people lose control in the moment. They react with anger, sarcasm, or silence that turns into resentment. But true strength is revealed when you remain calm while setting clear boundaries. Control is your greatest weapon. When someone disrespects you, your nervous system reacts before your mind does. Your heart races, your muscles tighten, your emotions rise. If you act from this state, you surrender your power. When you slow your breath and ground yourself, you regain command over the situation. This pause separates impulsive reactions from intelligent responses. Handling disrespect begins with self-respect. If you value yourself, you will not tolerate behavior that crosses your boundaries, but you also will not collapse into rage. You respond with calm clarity. This balance of firmness and composure is what commands respect from others. Many people believe that responding harshly proves strength. In reality, emotional explosions reveal a lack of control. The person who stays steady under pressure becomes the authority in the moment. Others feel that stability. They adjust their behavior accordingly. Disrespect often tests your identity. It challenges how you see yourself and how much you trust your own worth. When you respond with dignity instead of aggression, you reinforce your self-image and protect your emotional state. Remaining calm does not mean remaining passive. You address the issue directly. You state your boundary clearly. You remove yourself from situations that continue to violate your standards. This is strength in action. As you practice this response, your confidence deepens. You stop fearing confrontation because you trust your ability to handle it with intelligence and control. That trust transforms your presence. Handling disrespect properly also protects your future. You prevent small incidents from becoming long-term resentment. You preserve your peace and your progress. This is how you command respect without losing yourself. When you learn to handle disrespect with composure, you develop emotional mastery. You no longer allow other people's behavior to dictate your state of mind. Instead of reacting, you choose your response. This choice gives you control over every interaction and protects your inner peace. The more often you practice calm responses, the stronger your emotional discipline becomes. You stop feeding negativity. You stop escalating tension. You remain grounded even when situations become uncomfortable. This steadiness becomes your signature. Handling disrespect properly also strengthens your self-trust. Each time you protect your boundaries with clarity and dignity, your confidence grows. You begin to believe in your ability to manage conflict without losing yourself. That belief changes the way you move through life. As your confidence rises, people sense it. They stop testing your limits. They adjust their behavior. You command respect, not through fear, but through consistency and control. Over time, you stop taking disrespect personally. You understand that it reflects the other person's state of mind more than your worth. This awareness prevents emotional damage and keeps you focused on your goals. The ability to remain calm under pressure is one of the highest forms of strength. It allows you to navigate difficult environments without sacrificing your integrity or your progress. When you respond with intelligence instead of emotion, you turn conflict into opportunity, you set standards, you teach others how to treat you. This skill becomes part of your identity. You are no longer reactive, you are deliberate, you are stable. And because of that stability, your life becomes stronger, quieter, and more controlled. This is how you handle disrespect without losing control. Chapter 10. Respect yourself first. Respect always begins inside before it ever appears in the world around you. The way you treat yourself silently instructs others how to treat you. When you honor your time, your values, your boundaries, and your growth, you send a message of strength without saying a word. When you neglect yourself, overextend yourself, or abandon your standards, you weaken your position in every relationship and situation. Self-respect is built through daily decisions, not dramatic declarations. It is in the moments when you choose discipline over comfort, honesty over approval, and growth over familiarity. Each of these choices strengthens your inner foundation. Over time, that foundation becomes unshakable. And once it is unshakable, the world responds differently to you. When you respect yourself, you stop tolerating what drains you. You stop participating in environments that shrink you. You stop making excuses for behavior that crosses your boundaries. This shift is uncomfortable at first because it requires you to let go of old versions of yourself. But this discomfort is the price of transformation. Self-respect also requires self-awareness. You must understand your own limits, values, and priorities. Without this clarity, you will continue living according to other people's expectations. When you define who you are, your decisions become simpler. You stop hesitating. You stop second-guessing. You begin moving with purpose. Many people confuse self-respect with ego. In reality, self-respect is humility in action. It is knowing your worth without needing to prove it. It is honoring yourself without diminishing others. It is standing firm without becoming rigid. When you respect yourself, you stop seeking validation from the outside. You stop needing constant reassurance. your confidence becomes internal. That internal confidence becomes the most powerful form of stability in your life. Self-respect also strengthens your emotional boundaries. You no longer absorb other people's chaos. You choose peace over drama. You choose progress over distraction. This emotional discipline preserves your energy and sharpens your focus. The more you practice self-respect, the more your life aligns with your values. Your habits improve, your relationships improve, your goals become clearer, everything becomes more intentional. This is the foundation of every strong life. When self-respect becomes your standard, you stop abandoning yourself in moments of pressure. You no longer betray your values for comfort, convenience, or acceptance. This internal loyalty builds an unbreakable sense of identity. You know who you are, what you stand for, and what you will no longer tolerate. That clarity becomes your greatest source of confidence. As your self-respect grows, your relationships naturally evolve. Some connections strengthen because they are built on mutual respect. Others fade because they were built on your silence and sacrifice. This is not loss, it is alignment. You make room for the life and people that reflect your true worth. Self-respect also transforms your communication. You speak with honesty and restraint. You do not overshare. You do not over-explain. You state your needs calmly and clearly. This directness commands respect without conflict. When you respect yourself, your body language changes. You stand taller. You move with purpose. You occupy space without apology. This physical shift reinforces your internal strength and influences every interaction you have. Over time, self-respect becomes your protection. You are no longer vulnerable to manipulation, disrespect, or emotional chaos. You remain steady even when life becomes uncertain. This stability allows you to build long-term success. The most powerful form of respect is self-generated. When you stop chasing it from others and start living it within yourself, everything changes. You become grounded. You become calm. You become unshakable. Respect yourself first, and the world will follow. Chapter 11. Commanding presence in any room. Commanding presence is not about dominating a space, it is about stabilizing it. When you enter a room with grounded confidence, people feel it immediately. The energy shifts. Conversations soften. Attention aligns. This presence is not created through volume or force, but through inner alignment and self-control. When your mind, body, and emotions move together with purpose, your presence becomes undeniable. Presence begins before you arrive. It is built through your habits, your discipline, your self-respect, and your emotional stability. By the time you walk into any environment, the work has already been done. You carry the weight of your choices with you. People respond to that weight, even if they cannot explain why. A commanding presence starts with stillness. You do not rush, you do not fidget, you do not scan the room for approval, you move with calm awareness. This stillness sends a message of control and certainty. Others instinctively mirror it. Your posture becomes the structure of your presence. When you stand tall with relaxed shoulders and steady breathing, your body communicates confidence without effort. This physical alignment supports your mental clarity. You think better, you speak less, you act with intention. Eye contact deepens your presence. When you look at people calmly and directly, you create connection and authority at the same time. You are present in the moment instead of lost in your thoughts. That focus makes people feel seen and understood. Commanding presence also requires emotional regulation. When you are stable inside, you are stable outside. You are not shaken by opinions, reactions, or pressure. You remain steady in every interaction. This emotional consistency builds trust and respect. You do not seek attention when you command presence. Attention naturally finds you. Your calm becomes magnetic. Your energy becomes grounding. Your silence carries weight. When your presence is aligned, your words become secondary. People feel you before they hear you. This is the highest form of influence. As your presence strengthens, you begin to notice how little effort it takes to influence a room. You no longer compete for space. You create it. Your calm focus invites others to slow down, listen, and engage with more intention. This influence grows quietly but powerfully. Commanding presence also requires deep self-awareness. You understand your emotions before they express themselves. You regulate your reactions before they shape the moment. This inner mastery keeps you centered even in intense situations. When you speak from this place of stability, your words carry depth. You do not need to repeat yourself. You do not need to convince. You speak once, clearly, and move on. That clarity strengthens your authority. As you continue practicing this presence, your confidence becomes effortless. You stop trying to appear strong. You simply are. This authenticity resonates with people and builds lasting respect. Your presence begins to transform your relationships. Others listen more carefully. They engage more sincerely. They treat you with greater respect. This is the natural response to someone who has mastered themselves. Over time, your presence becomes your signature. People remember how you make them feel: calm, focused, grounded, safe. These feelings create trust and influence. When you command presence in any room, you do not need to prove your worth. You embody it. This is how leadership is born. This is how influence grows. This is how you become unforgettable. Chapter 12. Become unignorable through self-respect. Becoming unignorable does not come from demanding attention, chasing validation, or forcing your presence into the world. It comes from building such a strong foundation of self-respect that your energy naturally commands space. When you respect yourself deeply, people feel it without explanation. They sense your certainty, your discipline, and your inner alignment. This creates gravity, and gravity draws attention without effort. Self-respect is expressed in everything you do, in the way you speak, the way you move, the way you protect your time, and the way you honor your commitments. Each small decision strengthens your identity. Over time, this identity becomes unshakable, and when you are unshakable, you become impossible to ignore. When you stop abandoning yourself for comfort, convenience, or approval, your life transforms. You no longer tolerate what weakens you. You no longer accept what diminishes your worth. You choose growth even when it is uncomfortable. That courage becomes visible in your presence. The person who respects themselves does not overextend, over-explain, or overcompensate. They move with clarity. They speak with intention. They act with purpose. This creates a powerful sense of authority that others naturally respond to. Self-respect builds emotional stability. You no longer allow external chaos to disrupt your inner world. You remain grounded even when circumstances become difficult. This calm becomes your strength. As your self-respect grows, your boundaries strengthen. You protect your energy, your focus, and your future. You stop wasting time on what does not align with your values. This focus accelerates your progress. When you live with self-respect, your confidence becomes internal. You no longer depend on recognition or praise. You are steady within yourself. That steadiness becomes magnetic. This is how you begin becoming unignorable. As self-respect becomes the foundation of your life, everything around you begins to shift. Your relationships grow healthier. Your goals become clearer. Your decisions become stronger. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. This inner transformation is what makes you unignorable. People do not ignore those who know who they are and where they are going. You begin carrying yourself with quiet certainty. There is no rush in your movements, no desperation in your voice, no hesitation in your choices. This calm creates a powerful contrast in a noisy world. People are drawn to that contrast. They feel safe around it. They trust it. When you respect yourself, you no longer chase attention. You create impact. Your work improves. Your presence deepens. Your influence expands. Opportunities begin responding to you because you have become someone who respects their own potential. Self-respect also protects you from compromise. You no longer betray your values for temporary comfort. You remain loyal to your vision even when the road becomes difficult. This loyalty builds strength. That strength becomes your signature. Over time, your self-respect shapes your destiny. The life you build reflects the standards you keep, and because your standards are high, your life rises to meet them. The person who becomes unignorable does not shout for recognition. They earn it through consistency, integrity, and self-mastery. When you respect yourself fully, the world has no choice but to respond. This is how you become unignorable. This is how you build a life of real power. This is how your story changes forever. In the end, respect begins with the relationship you have with yourself. You cannot demand it, force it, or chase it, but you can become the kind of person others naturally respect. That transformation happens when you stop shrinking your voice, stop betraying your boundaries, and stop trading your self-worth for approval. When you move with quiet confidence, speak with intention, and stand firm in your values, the world responds differently. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to prove yourself. You only need to carry yourself with clarity and strength. That presence alone sets the tone for every interaction. Remember this: the way people treat you is often a reflection of what you allow. The moment you decide to respect yourself without apology, you change the rules of how others engage with you. So stop being nice to the point of invisibility. Start being strong in the ways that matter, and become someone the world has no choice but to respect.